True. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been and am. But why would you say that I'm mad? The diseases had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all, the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heavens and in the earth, and I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken, and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered into my brain, but once convinced, it haunted me day and night. Object there was none. Passion there was none. I loved the old man, and he had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. One of his eyes resembled that of a vulture. A pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man and rid myself of the eye forever. Now this is the point where you fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing. You should have seen me. You would have seen how wisely I proceeded. With what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man during the whole week before I killed him. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh so gently. And then, when I made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed. Closed so no light shone out, and then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening so far that I could see him lay upon his bed. Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously. Oh, so cautiously. Cautiously, for the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. And I did this for 7 long nights, every night just at midnight. But I found the eye always closed. So it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning, when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber and spoke courageously to him, calling him by his name in a hearty tone, and inquiring how he had passed the night. So you see, he would have been a very profound old man indeed, to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked in upon him while he slept. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A minute's hand moves more quickly than mine did. Never before, that night, had I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity. I should scarcely contain my feelings of triumph. To think that I was opening the door little by little, and he might not even dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea, and perhaps he heard me, for he moved on the bed suddenly, as if startled. Now you may think I drew back, but no. His room was as pitch as black, with a thick darkness, for the shutters were closed fastly through fear of robbers. So I knew he could not see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing it on steadily, steadily. I had my head in and was about to open the lantern, when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprang up in bed, crying out, "Who's there?" I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour I did not move a muscle. In the meantime, I did not hear him lie down. He was sitting up in bed listening, just as I had done night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the wall. Presently, I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was a groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan or of pain or of grief. Oh no. It was a low, sifted sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo the terrors that distracted me. I say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt, and pitied him, although I chuckled at heart. I knew that he'd been lying awake ever since that first slight noise when he had turned in the bed. His fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. He had been saying to himself, "It's nothing but the wind in the chimney. It's only a mouse crossing the floor. It's merely a cricket that has made a single chirp." Yes, he'd been trying to comfort himself with the suppositions, but he had found it all in vain. All in vain, because death is approaching him and had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. And it was that mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel, although he never saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. When I had waited a very long time, very patiently without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a little, very little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until a length of a single dim ray, like the thread of a spider, shot out, and the crevice fell upon the vulture eye. It was open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all a blue chill of a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow of my bones. But I could see nothing but of the old man's face or person, for I had directed the ray, as if by instinct, precisely on the damned spot. And now, have I not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over-acuteness of the senses? Now, I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped with cotton. I knew the sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury.